Kiss My Chaos. Taking stories of trauma into triumph while living life in the middle and everything in between. All views are expressed solely of the host, guests, and for entertainment purposes only. You don't like it? Well, you can kiss our chaos. Here are your hosts, Abigail Dark and DT Hudson.
Turkey Day's gone.
Yay!
Kiss that chaos, huh?
I did not do anything this year. I sat on my butt. I didn't cook. I didn't go anywhere, and it was beautiful.
Was it that time of year where we did something completely non-traditional, and Super Dave brought out like a shrimp boil, and we had potato bacon soup and a pork butt.
I don't know many people that actually like turkey. Everyone I talk to is like, we don't even like turkey. Then why do people do it?
I don't like how farty it smells the next day in the fridge.
Oh, I see. I like, the only time I like turkey is leftover turkey when you can smash it in between all the sides and all the things that go with it.
Mix it up in your taters.
Yeah.
Not a girl. Get your carbohydrates and your protein. Gross.
Right?
Anyway.
And calories.
I'm excited today. Another Kindredite. There's a sign outside the town that says kindness is a way of life. It's true. It's true. It's true. Spent a lot of time in Kindred. Your turn. Passing the ball to you.
To me. Okay. So we have Carter here. He is somebody that I was more than excited to have on because he's kind of helped me in my journey of triathlon and some other things that I've done. And not just me, but he's influenced a lot of people that he's come across in his life. And if you know anything about him, you might know certain parts of his life, you know, from him being a musician, to Taekwondo, to all of his accomplishments in life, because there's so many and we have so many to talk about. And he's giving me the stink eye. I don't want to brag about me, but that's why we're here, because we're going to brag about Carter. So, Carter, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm not going to be able to live up to that intro.
Yes, you are.
We do know that's Evenson, so we're not screwing that up.
No, Evenson.
Get it right, people.
And we do get called Evenson. We don't correct people on it, but that's all good. Okay, well, where do you want me to start?
Well, I suppose you can kind of tell us, well, let's do it in chronological order. Let's start from the beginning. So, you went through something that nobody that I could think of that I've ever known could go through. Just to preface this, he handed me an article that was in a magazine, and I had heard, that you had been in an accident when you were young, and I really didn't know what caliber of an accident that it was. I had no idea. When you hear plane crash, you're like, holy crap, that's huge. But why don't you tell us a little bit about it and how it all began?
So, in high school, I was doing Taekwondo. I'll start with that because that plays a role in this. And that I'll go back even further without boring you. I wanted to do some kind of martial arts for a long time. And I bugged my parents all the time. Because I watched Bruce Lee movies, Chuck Norris. And I got to do this, Mom. I would go to her first. She was an easier sell.
They are.
And no, we can't do that. We can't drive you into Fargo. Because there was one Taekwondo. I didn't know what Taekwondo was, but there was one karate school in the whole state. And it was in Fargo. And it was a 30-minute drive from Kindred. And I'm like, I got to do this. This is my thing. I want it to be my thing. But they resisted, and a couple of years went by. Then I snuck into, with two friends, the Octagon, Chuck Norris movie. And then when I left that movie, I went home, Mom, I have to do this. I got to do this. So then she talked to Dad about it, and they worked out a deal. And they said, here's the deal. And we didn't have a lot of money growing up. My dad worked at a molasses factory, and my mom had this little job at the Kindred Tribune. So they're like, well, if we'd let you use our car when you get your license, and then you'd have to pay for everything, though. You'd have to pay for the gas. You got to pay for the lessons. We just let you use our car. That's the deal we'll have for you. I'm like, deal? So our neighbor was our driving instructor for driver's ed. Like, when can I get my license? Let's move me up to whatever you got to do. I got to get my license, which was funny because I think he even noticed something like, you've never asked to do something early in school. I'm like, I got to get my license. So he goes, well, there's going to be 2 classes. I'll make sure you get in the first one. So I got my license. First thing when I got my license, I had points taken off of it from tickets I got before my license.
Starting in the hole.
Yes, because I got eluding a police officer on a Honda Odyssey.
Well, you can't do that. You got to have something faster than that if you're going to run from the police.
I was driving. Our town cop, I won't get too far into this, but would clamp down on us in motorized vehicles. So, like, we all had 3-wheelers and mini bikes and Odyssey. It wasn't my Odyssey, it was a buddy's, and he chased me all around town, and I thought I got away, and then at supper time, I see the cop car pull up, and Mom and Dad are like, wonder what he's doing here. I'm like, I don't know.
Might have an idea.
No clue. Is your son home? And then he comes in there, and I can drop you, drop all these charges on you, and Mom and Dad, what happened? I'm like, I was just driving his Odyssey around. He gave me an exhibition driving ticket, and that's what he gave me. So that's when I got my license, that I had points taken off from that. It's kind of funny. So anyway, I got my license, and then I signed up. You had to apply to get into Yong's. It was Muyang Yong who taught. Do you know where the Woodrow Wilson school is?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, across the street from that.
Okay.
And it was just a little school. So you had to apply to get in, and he didn't let too many get in. It was tough to get in. And I did get in on that class, and I went in there, and I talked to a friend of mine to come with me. And then he took a look at me, and I was a late bloomer. So when I was, in freshman, junior, I looked like a 5th and 6th grader. And he was like, well, I can't put you in this class. I have to put you in the kids class. So I did. And I did that. And then, my love for it continued on there. I eventually got bumped up to the adult class, but that's how it all started. And then I had to just do anything I could to get money, so I did. I mowed lawns, I shoveled driveways, and I delivered paper. I worked in the bean fields, sunflower fields in summer. When I got to be a senior, I lifeguarded. And then that kind of funded my way through that. And then I kept doing it. And then by the time I was a senior then, I was doing really well, and I was in the advanced class of Yong's. And my students love the story. And then, then this is kind of the show me factor I tell those guys. I said, you can tell me what you're going to do, but just show me that you want to do this, and show me that you want to progress, and you want to take this in. And I did that with Grandmaster Yong. So he said, well, Mr. Evenson. He could never say my name. Like, it's Evenson, sir. Evenson. We'll call that good.
Close enough.
He said, why you not have school in Kindred? This was out of the blue. I don't know, sir. You opened school in Kindred. Yes, sir. That was the meeting. So he wanted me to open a school in Kindred. So I was a brown belt then. Our ranking is a little different now, but that's one away from black to red and then black. But he wanted me to open a school in Kindred, so I did as a senior. So Carter's Academy started in Kindred in 1983.
When I read that, I couldn't believe you had been doing it that long, because I was like...
There was a little gap in there when I was off rocking, but yeah, so I started that in April of 83. And I started, if you know Kindred at all,
I do.
It was, do you know where the stable was?
Yeah.
It was across the street behind Shirley's Flower Shop.
Okay.
And it's going to go way back here, but it was the old rec center. They had pool tables and stuff. It's a little place.
Everything I do in Kindred is either the John Deere dealership or Rusted's.
Okay. So same block as Russ, just end of the block.
End of the block.
And it was in the back section of that.
Okay.
So I rented that from Warren Mulvaney, who had the stable. He owned the stable for, I think it was like $25 a month or something. It was like super cheap. And that's where this all started. I had a pretty good crop of kids in there, and those guys are in their 50s now,
Yep.
And they still remember that time fondly. So I had that as a senior, so I had my own business already. And I remember when I took aptitude tests in high school, it would come out as I should be a Phi Ed teacher. And it was just fine. I don't want to be a Phi Ed teacher. So I remember it was like, and nothing against them. That was just not my thing. It was more, kicking and punching stuff, right? So I did sign up for school at NDSU. They take your, the advisor and parents, take your generals and all that. And it got to be, I got my dorm assignment too at Churchill Hall, which I knew, and I didn't want to live there. And it was just like something I wasn't all in for.
Right.
And this is something I talk about a lot too now with students. You have to achieve things. You really have to be all in. Right. And I wasn't all into this plan. So I said to my folks, I am already running a business, and I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to school. Not yet anyway, maybe, but I need to just think about this. So I kept doing what I was doing. And then I worked at a sawmill out in Kindred too for extra income. So
I know where that's at.
That's
it's south
so
of
awesome.
town. I know exactly where it's at.
Yeah, so Mahalski. So I worked for Bob. Leonard worked there too, if you knew Leonard.
Yes, and then it became a fireworks type place. They built fireworks there.
That'd be after my time.
Yeah, it was quite some time after that. Because I applied there and I lied on my age and they caught me. So I needed money too.
It was hard labor because I was at the end of the edger, which meant you just stacked the lumber all day. That's all you did. They cut it, and the scraps went that way, and I stacked it over here with another martial arts buddy of mine, Brent Jordime. So that was hard labor.
The odd there be a Jordime from Kindred, I'm just saying. It's a pretty common name.
It is. There's a lot of, and they aren't related. That's the funny part about that.
They're not.
Same with Broughton's. So at that time, I was doing Taekwondo classes in Fargo then, and running Carter's Academy, and then doing the sawmill thing. And then I can't go too far with you guys and go in another path, but my mom did the Kindred Tribune, so you'd have to physically drive it to Castleton. So I would do that for her. And then I'd go to my class on Tuesday night. After that, I'd go to Tuesday. So I'd drive to Castleton, and as I was driving there every week, I'd see these ultralight airplanes flying overhead. So one day I just went over there. I'm like, what is this? Oh, well, a dealership. And I'm like, hey, can I have a ride? Yeah. So they gave me a ride in a 2-seater, and I'm like, how much are these? We got one for sale here for $3,700. I'm like, I'll buy it.
Nice.
It was that simple. It was so cool, flying there. You're just kind of dangling. Your feet are dangling there. It was like, it was really cool. And my mom and dad were not happy about that. So they were, you can't do that. You're going to kill yourself. I'm like, no, you can't, because even if the engine kills, you can just glide down and land, which is true. But we didn't talk about running into stuff. But I remember this because my sisters were like, no way you got that deal, because my parents would never throw this deal out. But my dad said, if you don't buy this ultralight airplane, we will go half and half with you on a vehicle. And that's not seen in my family. It's
They
usually
really didn't want
you
you to
buy
have it.
your own stuff, I'm like, no, I'm going to get this, So I ended up getting that. So then that's where this comes into. And then I got,
Right.
it was getting dark one day, and I got to fly over West Fargo because a buddy of mine that I trained with, Ken Gross, kept saying, hey, I keep waiting for you to fly overhead. Mm-hmm. So I made my way out there, and the airspeed on those things are like 10 miles an hour. I mean, they're super slow, but they're cool. It's just a recreational thing,
No license needed, nothing like that.
It was, and that came into play here.
Okay.
So I'm flying over in West Fargo and getting in all kinds of trouble with the FAA and not knowing it. And I dropped altitude to follow my way back into to the airstrip at Mapleton, just a little grass strip. And I just hit something. And now I don't have any memory of this now. So I only know what happened from people that saw it, that I flew into high voltage power lines. My next memory is the ambulance crew talking to me. So I have zero memory from when I hit something, I was jolted by something, and then I'm on the ground with my plane burning next to me. So, and I didn't know what was going on. And they were, and the ambulance guys were talking to me so fast. What's your name? Are you allergic to this? You allergic to that? And I'm like, what happened? And then I got put 2 and 2 together. And you could see the high voltage power lines above me that were like messed up and sparking. And my plane was next to me just smoldering. So then I realized what I did. I hit that. I just didn't see them, So they took me into St. Luke's at the time, which is downtown Sanford. And I didn't know how bad I was, but I couldn't move. I couldn't really move anything. So I didn't know if I was paralyzed, what was going on. I didn't know the extent of it. And the rest of it is kind of, if it's foggy now, because they gave me drugs right away. And I just remember being in the ER, and I remember them cutting stuff off of me, and just people just going crazy, And I got lost in, like a fog, is what I always explain it. And then I didn't know how bad it was until they told me later, yeah, you just almost died. And
take as much time as you need with that. It's a major thing.
It's a tough thing to say out loud.
The tough part to talk about is my parents when they showed up and they gave them the bad news, and it was just crushing. So that's the part I feel still a lot of guilt to putting them through that. So they'd take them into a special room and tell them that I might not make it.
But if anybody has ever met Carter, I think deep down, I'm sure your parents knew what type of personality you have and that you're a fighter. I've always been a fighter. And when I read your article in the magazine, the person that told it just spoke to, the intense amount of pain and everything that you fought through. And I would imagine you had your parents in the back of your mind through that whole thing.
That guy who wrote that article owns World Martial Arts Center in Minneapolis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're still best friends.
Oh, my gosh.
It's an amazing article.
And the way he tells it, it tugs at the heartstrings. I mean, you can feel how hard you were fighting through that and how much strength it took. It talks about, if you've never read it, it talks about, the water and the baths to remove the dead skin and, to help with, the burns. I mean, if anybody's gotten a burn before, how excruciating that could possibly be. And the fact that you had to live through that for months and months. But you could talk about all the things that were just awful through that. But the part that got me the most, that I thought, man, that's incredible, was how hard you fought to get your black belt and how hard you worked to get out of that. So tell us a little bit about that part when you came.
So that during that period, we were preparing for our black belt. So Pat, the guy who wrote that article, and there was a group of like 5 of us that had been climbing the ranks together and working really hard. And Yong trained us really, really hard. So we were kind of a little family, and I was hanging out with those guys. That's another thing too. As a senior in high school, I had like another group of friends like nobody even knew about. I was hanging out with these guys in Fargo. They were all older too. I was the punk, so they were all in their 20s, and I was 17, 18. But I remember that my senior year, like I'd come home at like midnight, 1 o'clock, hanging out with those guys in Fargo.
Of course.
I was always tired, and but that's kind of what all I was living for right there, getting my black belt, and then all of a sudden it was gone. And I can deal with all that, and I can deal with the pain and stuff. But getting back to my parents, that was the hardest part for me, is what I put them through. They didn't deserve that. But I did make it, so I guess that's a bonus. So, and I didn't know at the time all these things. People told me later. I was touch and go there with you, and didn't think you were going to make it through this day, and so on and so forth. And I just remember, that those first couple of weeks were a fog, because I was on so many meds and drugs, and 12, I think, milligrams of morphine every hour, and then when they put me in the Hubbard tank for debridement, they had me on some sort of hallucinatory drug just to get through it.
Yeah,
because they basically drop you in a vat of bleach, and pull off your skin. So with tweezers, it sounds barbaric, but it's one of those things they have to do.
And now I understand how you can run through a triathlon with like pretty much a broken foot. Like, I'm like, you are nuts. But if you've been through that kind of pain, I can imagine that's like a walk in the park for you.
Well, no, that's not a walk in the park for me, but but I have fun with that. But then at that period, then going for my black belt, or wanting to do my black belt, then it was, I was like, well, can I get out of here soon, But it was after days went by and weeks went by and months then, and I could barely move. Mm-hmm. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to test with those guys, and it was, pretty depressing. So that was another area that was just a low point, and looking back now, and well, I did get it, mm-hmm. But that was a tough period to stomach, just to get through that and watch those guys move on. And I kind of had to sit there, but I withered down to hardly anything. I had 12 skin graft surgeries, and that took time, because you don't have the donor sites, so they'll peel a little section of good skin. Like, I have scars on my arms. I didn't even burn my arm. It's from donor sites.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So then you got to wait for it to grow back and then take it again, because I didn't have enough skin to don.
Sure.
Is that a word?
It is now.
To donate to the rest of you, yeah.
One of the most amazing things about that article, for me, it was just coincidental, was your doctor, and I know that family well. I've worked with. Oh
wow!
Yeah, I worked with both his sons.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm good friends with the whole family.
Yeah, wonderful family.
Yeah, so so Dr. David Todd is who we're talking about. He was the only burn surgeon in this area, and if he wouldn't have been heading that burn unit, I would have been taken down to Minneapolis, which is where it is now. So when he passed away in '91, there's no burn unit here. So for major burns have to go down to the cities, to Regions Burn Center. So yeah, the reason, and I know those guys the family well, because when I was discharged from the hospital, he'd have me over for supper. How cool is that for a doctor?
That's what they did, because when I was on patrol, they would always have a place for the people working. We'd go in shifts to go eat with their family. They're probably one of the most caring and loving families you'll ever come across.
Oh, no question, yeah.
I would like to get out of any speeding ticket in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota now.
Put that plug in there.
So yeah, the funny part about that is WDAY did a story on me in 2013, a follow-up to this. And I was down at the gym, and they were filming stuff, and Dave Todd Jr. then came walking in uniform. Like, what are you doing here, man? He said, Kevin called me down. I had all this stuff. I have all these articles on you from Mom. Mom kept all these.
Gunning.
Unreal. And I've been thinking about your mom, and I remember going to your place, but I would just read a piece of paper and drove the car up there. Where was that? And told me the address. I'm like, she's my neighbor now.
Oh my goodness.
Not the direct neighbor, but in my hood, just around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Small world.
I went home and ran over there. Hey, she was so happy. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Gunny's an amazing woman. When she was alive, she just the matriarch of that family.
Yeah. So I didn't know it, but she was on my run route.
Really?
So every time I'd run by there, then that's the only time I would stop. I would stop and give her a hug if she was in the yard, doing the marathon, I stopped for like 2 minutes for pictures and stuff, and I was like, she's the only one I'll do that for. Well, my mom, but I did that. I'm like, okay, I better get going. I got a time here, but I would do that for her.
Yes, for sure.
And so I'll have to show you those pictures that we took.
Love to see that.
So yeah, the Todd family is pretty amazing. So he was all in on me.
Oh, I'm sure.
So which is why I'm here. So
I don't think you could have had a better doctor locally to take care of you at the time.
No, he was something else. So another thing about that is, so I gradually got better, but I was so far gone physically. So I remember when they sat me up for the first time in like 2 months, I threw up because I got so dizzy. I couldn't even sit up. They laid me back down like this is going to take some time. And I remember you have, in those little trays they give you at the hospital, and it opens up a little mirror. I did that, and I flexed my bicep, and there was nothing there. There was no difference between my relaxed and flexed bicep. There was just no muscle.
Just the
At
atrophy
126 pounds I went down to, and I did nothing. I was just nothing, So I learned to walk. I just had to, I was throwing up then too, trying to walk.
I suppose, were the grafts that were harvested off your body, were they very tight?
Very tight, very painful. So, yeah, you're fighting the healing.
Right.
And then for me, they were piecing me together, so there were still open wounds, and then there are these grafts, and your donor sites are healing. So it's like multiple areas you're dealing with. It's tough, but the reason that burn injuries in particular are so life-threatening is that, it's an organ, right? So now all of a sudden you don't have that. You're so susceptible. They say like a little cut on your arm, make sure you cover it. Well, what if nothing's covered,
Right.
Infection and everything
yes,
else.
you're going to be very, very susceptible to infection. So, everybody had to gown up in these massive things to come into my room. That was another thing funny too, is that I had the same nurses every night. And after 2 months, when they lost all the stuff, and I could see their face, I didn't know who they were, and I knew them well for 2 months. I'm like, that's what you look like. All I've seen is your eyes, So, and I couldn't get visitors, but now I could start to get visitors. So, like, I just had a couple surgeries left, and then they kept me in that unit though. So it was a intensive care unit and a burn unit. And normally for intensive care units, that when you get better, they move you to a general floor. But the burn patients, you stayed there. So I got to stay there and hang out with what was my new family, So all these nurses and doctors and therapists and everybody I knew well after all this time. So it was like a little family. We still stay in touch with them too. So that was that, and then I just had to rebuild from there. When we knew my life wasn't in danger anymore, then we just had to rebuild. And Master Yong came up and saw me on Christmas, and I'm like, hey, can we still do this? Well, not this round, Yep. You're gonna have to work really hard, but we'll get you there,
Do you think having a goal to reach for at that time is what got you through a lot of that in between, like from learning to walk to, just the simplest of things to get to that type of conditioning that you were at before?
Yeah. And I wanted to just get to some normalcy.
Right.
And everything was really challenging. I couldn't sleep, and I had to be in these big apparatuses when I slept. And when they discharged me, I had a waterbed in the basement, and I couldn't do steps, and I couldn't get in and out of the waterbed, so they put me on the hide bed in the living room just so I could get up.
Sure.
But I couldn't sleep because I was in this huge thing, this big plastic thing. I have pictures of it that my occupational therapist made for me.
Sure. Distracting, I'm sure.
Yeah, just when burns are healing, it tightens up.
Everything hurts.
And so, like, if I would sit in a car, like for the car ride, I couldn't stand back up. I'd have to try to lay down and kind of rock back and forth until I flattened out. It would take like 10 minutes before I could actually stand up straight. So like you'd frozen in this position. So it was a constant battle of flexibility and strength training and stuff like that.
I think it's important that people know the degree of this burn. It wasn't an arm and a leg. It was about 70% of your body.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
absolutely astounding.
100% pretty much burned, but that much third degree. So like my goggles were melted to my face.
Oh my goodness.
And my feet didn't get anything because of my boots. I still got those boots. They're my lucky boots. And my hands made it. But yeah, it was a pretty big deal.
One of the interesting things you keep saying, and I don't know if you know this, that you're doing it, you say, this is what we did. This is what we did. We. I think that's really important. I find it really interesting that you say we. Who is the we?
Well, depending, but it was a team.
It was.
I give them credit. So
Sure.
when I was talking to Abby about this, that I don't bring this up a lot, but every November 6th, which is in this article, that's when it happened. Then I thank all my caregivers. So that's what you read, right? That's
Yep.
when you. So I thank them every year on November 6th. So I have every year. So and they're still around. So a lot of those nurses were young, just in their 20s, and
I think we're really fortunate to live in the community that we do.
yeah,
Because it does become a family like you're describing.
yeah,
And
very much so. And so the head of the burn unit, Jeff Haas is his name, still one of my best friends. So he he recently retired, so he ended up being one of the top administrators and one of the guys that built the new Sanford.
Sure.
And been a good guy to know, actually. He's helped me a few times when I've had some issues. So if I call him, like, it gets done like that very quickly.
Good to know people sometimes. Good
Yeah.
to know people.
So when I got discharged from the hospital, but I wasn't okay. But I was okay enough to go home, and they had to give my mom a tutorial on dressing changes because my ankle was still open. You could still see my bone on my right ankle, which came into play just a couple of years ago again. I had another surgery, 2 surgeries on it, but she had to do all. She was my nurse at home, so I got out of the shower and she'd have to spend like half an hour, all these open wounds and dress them, and they had to teach her how to do it and all this stuff, And then I'd get in the car and we'd have the community drive me in, and I'd go a full day of occupational therapy and physical therapy. So I'd do the morning in occupational therapy, go to lunch with nurses, and then physical therapy all afternoon. So I did that for many months just to get me functioning again.
And your accident was just a small fraction of what you've overcome in your life. You're so well-rounded. So, we've gotten, talked about the accident, but you are also a fantastic musician. Famous one at that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I do have to say I did get a little starstruck because I was a fan. I was a fan.
My son had to watch the Hellraiser movie that your song was
Yeah.
in, so we had to watch it
yeah.
and see all the.
Yeah.
So
They did
tell
a
us
good job
about your music career.
They did a good job of mixing that one. When things are licensed, you don't know how much they're going to bury it or if it's going to be in your face. And Hellraiser did a great job with that.
Yeah, it was great.
It's fun. So this actually ties into the accident.
Sure.
Yeah. So I played drums before that, but it was just I wasn't a drummer.
Sure.
I played drums in
Dabbled.
school. But loved music, loved Kiss and AC/DC in the 70s and listened to a lot of that. But then, so during that period when I was discharged and I was at home, and all I did, my only job was to rehab, right? So just to basically work out. And it was pretty minor stuff. I couldn't run, but I could ride bike. And I could do little things at home. So I started just riding bike all around town. We had a little 10-speed. And I would just go up and down the streets. And I'm a night owl, so I'd be out there at midnight riding up and down the streets of Kindred. Because I could bike. And I've always been a cyclist, and that's always been a huge thing. And during that time, so this would be the summer of '84, and then I'd bump into another kid from Kindred who just graduated, Cy Leatherberry. And hey man, what's going on? I'm just biking too. Cool. So all of a sudden I have a bike partner. So he and I'm like, well, I'm just trying to rehab, So now I have a partner, so we're biking all over the place. The ironic part is, so we're just a grade apart and a block apart. We weren't friends in high school.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, just ran in different circles. I mean, I knew him. We just didn't hang out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I knew him, and he knew me, and everybody does in Kindred. We didn't hang out. And so we're hanging out, and then we went back to his place. And his Fender Strat was sitting there. And you know where this is going. Yep. And he's jamming. He picks it up and starts playing. Like, man, that is awesome. You know, it was cool. He was playing these cool AC/DC songs. And he goes, come here. Sit here. He sat there, put the Strat on my lap. Put the Strat on my lap. And the rest is history. He taught me 1-4-5 blues riff, the Jack.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, that's the Jack. And that's pretty cool. Yeah, I could hear something coming out of the amp that I was doing. So, like, from that day forward, I'm like, let's go play guitar.
That was your new thing. Yeah.
Hang on, I'm losing my voice. I got to drink something here.
It's like going on tour in the mean streets of Kindred, riding bike and playing guitar. You're like touring at that point. I tell you what, I know who that person is. There's so many amazing musicians that came out of Kindred.
Do you know who
must be in the one. Yeah, I do.
Well, and there's nothing else to do.
Steve Stein, Justin Ballard. I mean, it goes on and on. They're all phenomenal guitar players.
Steve's in my house.
Really?
They bought my house.
No kidding.
Kindred, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I arranged that. So we sold it at an auction in 2012. And then Jessica, a few years later, hey, we'd love to get your house. So then we talked to the guys that bought it and said, hey, bump up your fixing, because they were flipping it. And then when they knew they had a buyer, then they got going on it. And
nice.
It's great because Steve's a great friend, Jessica's a great friend. I can go visit my hometown and my actual home anytime I want.
It's absolutely amazing, though, because, I mean, national musicians, I mean, so well-rounded, so good. And that's back when I was going to play rock star and play guitar and realized I was not a very good guitar player. And I kind of lost. And I wanted to play drums, so I started playing drums. And then I realized I wasn't a very good drummer. So I'm like, what does a drummer, former guitar player do? They play bass. So I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome.
It works.
Well, and the cool thing, and Cy did it right. He showed me a song like the first thing. He didn't like teach me scales or anything. Mm-hmm. But he was all self-taught, so he would just sit down and jam to Back in Black. And
sure.
And I'm amazed at what he knew, and I'd like, show me more.
Well, you got to learn it out of a book or with your ear at that point. I mean, you don't have the internet and YouTube videos like Steve does now. You know, there's all these tutorials. You didn't necessarily have that unless someone's sitting right in front of you. You had to teach yourself from a book.
Yeah. So then from that point on, then I had this little Kingston acoustic at home, and I just go practice. Then I started practicing that all night, you know, and then I'm like, well, I got to get a guitar. I couldn't afford one, but then I had rented one from Schmidt Music. And I'm like, look what I got, Cy, and show me more. So eventually, I bought a guitar too, but I just had that rented one for a while.
Sure.
And then I had the time. You know, all I was doing was rehabbing. So then now it became training and rehabbing and playing guitar like all the time, all night. So that's all I did. I just got so into it. And then, you know, I kept going with that. So, but this goes back to, you know, so I have that accident to thank for that. And I talk about that a lot with Jen, you know, and people talk about if they could change anything. And I was going to November 6th, if I could change one thing.
Right.
But should I?
I think it shapes you as a person. All of the things that happen in our lives, I feel like it tests people, but I feel like there's a greater power out there that knows who can handle it and who can't, in a way. You know, I feel like...
Well, and Jen and I talk about this, like, because I love my life right now. Mm-hmm. And that accident spun me a complete different direction. So if that wouldn't have happened, I don't know where I'd be, but probably somewhere less is fun. I mean, I no complaints right now. I mean, things are good. So, it's not perfect, but what is, right?
Nothing is ever perfect. So I think people that know you and know me and might be listening to this podcast, tell us how Sons of Poseidon came to be. How did that all start?
Best name ever, by the way.
So, thanks.
I love it.
Well, so then after playing guitar all the time, and then I moved into Fargo to move in with this guy who wrote the article.
Oh, sure.
And then, so then I lived in Fargo, and then I started networking with other guitarists. And, hey, this guy knows how to play guitar. Let's jam. So I started learning stuff from everybody. I didn't take any formal lessons, but I just learned from all these other players. And one was an NDSU football player. And he would come over and show me all this stuff. He knew all the rat, and he would know all these leads and all the cool Dawkins songs and all the weird parts that I couldn't figure out. He's like, oh, that's how you play this. I'm like, whoa. What's that chord called? I don't know, but this is what it is. Nobody was like classically taught that I jammed with. They're just, you'd figure stuff out. So then I'd find drummers to jam with, and then eventually got in a band. My first actual band that got paid to play was Frenzy. That was 87. I was in, before that it was Mutiny and Sausage and what else?
Sausage.
Yeah. Sausage was a great band.
It's all female band.
The only band with meat.
I love it.
But those were fun days. It was just me and two other guys. It was two guitarists and a drummer, and we would just jam all night at a warehouse that I worked at. And those were some of the funnest times, actually. It's funny. I look back, those all-night jams, and people would come over, and other musicians would jump in and play until 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Those were fun. Like the jam sessions, I can personally attest to that. Like we used to do just random jam sessions, and there was no agenda. You just played what you felt, and like if somebody played a riff, you just like built off of it. There's no better feeling than that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then so I had jammed with so many different players that I ended up knowing like a lot of songs. So then when it was time to get in a band, it was like, hey, Carter knows all these tunes, all the Dawkins songs and all the AC/DC songs, all the Rat songs, thanks to Murray. Like, yeah, I know all that stuff. So back in those days when you didn't, get tabs and YouTube, it was cool to know stuff. I was by no means a great player, but I knew how to play a lot of the rhythm parts of that. And so then Frenzy formed. So it was fun. It was a drummer that I'd been playing with for a while, just messing around at a warehouse. He liked playing with me because I knew all these tunes and same stuff that he liked. And then hooked up with a bass player and a singer, the hardest guys to come up with. Of
course, yep.
They were friends, like, bass player and a singer, okay. And then the singer plays keys, okay. Let's do this. And then Keith Jose was the other guitarist.
Huh.
So the first gig was October 30th, 1987 at the Theta Chi House, a toga party.
Oh boy.
And awesome. I made money. I made $22.50 I made.
Nice.
I'll never forget that. It was the coolest $22.50
It must have been a $5 kegger like entry.
No, that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that fills the gas tank back then.
Yeah. No, that was the coolest thing ever. I was making money. And then we started playing bars and stuff. And then after that band, me and Steve still stuck together. And then we started Tramp, and that's where Hat came in.
Okay.
I remember that.
Yeah, so that would be 88 and 89.
You played in the 410 Lounge.
Yeah.
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 Not that I was underage in the 410 Lounge, but...
Yeah. So that was fun. And with Russ, I'm still good friends with those guys. And Russ is a great singer. He ended up in Glass Hammer. He played with those guys for a while. So then I was in that band. And then I decided to bolt from here because the Minneapolis scene was so hot. So I was doing some studio projects at MSU, recording originals, and I hooked up with a singer that was amazing. I went to a guitar recital to watch Colin play. And he did awesome, of course, as always. And... saw this little kid. He looked like he was only like 14, but he was in college. And he got up there and sang "I Remember You" by Skid Row and played the guitar part and played the guitar solo and nailed all of it. And after the recital, I'm like, great job, Colin, but who was that guy?
This was at Moorhead State?
Yes. Who was that guy that got up and did the Skid Row tune? He's a freshman. I don't know who that. I think his name is Kelly. You know, he rounded up his number, and I called him and I, hey, maybe you want to get together? We'd be interested in doing something in studio. And for him, I didn't find this out until later, but it was a cool thing for him to get into Studio A because the freshman didn't get in the big cool studio. Oh. And Colin was having my tunes in some of his projects. And then I didn't have a singer for it, but Kelly was just unbelievable. On range, like, you know, when we started, the band we started, I mean, we were doing Steel Heart and all the stuff that nobody else could do. Yeah. And he just had this, and it was all full voice. I mean, it was really amazing what he could do.
Steel Heart, that's a high F sharp. That's all I know.
Yeah. So it was like all of a sudden there was no limits on what we could do. Like, we could play any song. We played a bunch of Queensryche, although Queensryche was hard for him because it got too low for him.
Yeah. I love singing Queensryche.
So he could hit those high notes, but Jeff Tate has such a range that it was hard for Kelly to hit the low stuff, ironically. He said, yeah, I struggle when he gets down there. The high part's no problem. So... and so he and I moved down to Minneapolis. I won't bore you with the whole how we put that together, but we moved down there and started tomfoolery, signed with the GMA, worked at a balloon factory until we got on the road. People love that story. True story, though. Yeah. We made balloons.
At least it wasn't sausage working at the balloon factory.
I missed that window. But we did, those the Mylar balloons you see for the happy birthday in the store and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, we made those.
Nice.
Yeah, well, we did production. That's the production building, and we did assembly. The assembly building they had these air walker. I can't believe we're talking about this now, but it is kind of interesting in a little way. But they were called air walkers, where they're like accordion, paper mache, these arms that were hanging off these big balloons like Frankenstein and stuff like that. So those are flattened on these trays, and our job, seriously, was to put a dot of glue on each dot. All night on multiple trays.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's all you did. You had a little styrofoam cup and a brush and with glue, and you put glue on all these dots, and then you'd rack these trays. You did that up front. We did work the night shift, so 11 to 7:30. We did that.
Gosh.
And the only reason I made it more than one night is because he was sitting across from me. So we would visit and we'd go through songs and we'd sing stuff we'd work on. He would like teach me harmonies and we talk about what songs we're going to do. And
who knew greatness was forming over balloons?
But people love that when I say worked at a balloon factory. So Jen loves it too, because when we get a balloon like that, I'll check the registration on it, make sure it's just right. Hey, this guy did a pretty good job on this one. Maybe should have went back.
Yep.
You know, so I have balloon knowledge. Yeah, but it was great then too, because the temps that worked there made $5 an hour, but we went directly there, so we made $7.50. So we're bringing home with a big cake. So we were happy about that. This is 1990, so we're making $7.50 an hour. We were loving life. We had a cool apartment, but that wore thin though. So we were like, we got to get going on the road, and we couldn't find a bass player and drummer. It was hard, and I'm like, this should be a piece of cake because we got the singer, right?
Yep.
But the drummer and bass player were harder to find than we would have thought. But when they heard Kelly, they wanted to be in the band really bad. I mean, he was so good. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, we can do all these songs. So pretty soon we're like, let's just grab anybody and get on the road so we can quit the balloon job. Because we already had GMA saying, I'll put you on the road.
Yep.
You know, because they heard Kelly. I brought nothing to the table.
That's not
sure
true.
You did.
Well, but guitar players were a dime a dozen, especially down in the cities.
There's a lot of them.
But great singers were hard to come by.
Still are.
Yeah.
They still are.
Yeah, so...
I got one here, though. You do a good job at it.
Yeah, you're amazing, too.
Thank you.
So then we ended up at the balloon factory for 6 months and then hit the road in April of 91. And then they said, hey, we'll just send you off and you don't have to come home if you don't want to. And at that time, we had no pets, no family, no nothing. So we just took off and played everywhere. That was fun. And at that time, bars would have bands from Monday through Saturday. So that's what we do. We'd do a stint in Minot and then go down to Bismarck for a week and come back Fargo. It's great coming here.
And your album did quite well.
So, well, that's tomfoolery.
Oh, that's tomfoolery. Okay, so we're moving into.
We should have recorded though. We went down to Paisley Park to record with our producer that did SOP.
Oh, sure.
Because we wanted to do something with him then because our drummer lived with Nixon Pupils. Do you remember them?
No.
So they had an indie deal and they were working with this big name guy, this producer, Tim Baba. So we met him like, hey, if we want to do stuff with you. So he, after chatting and meeting with him and stuff, he wanted to do an album, but we couldn't get the funding. Oh. And we weren't making enough on the road either. And we were just making enough to pay production and hotel and eat at buffet and bring some home in our pockets.
Every starving band musician.
Yeah,
starving out, I think.
One of my biggest regrets, though, that we didn't do that we didn't get in the studio. I met Prince down there at Paisley Park.
Did you
wow.
really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we went down to Paisley Park to get a little tour and do all this stuff. And I went off to go to the bathroom, and he was in the hallway. Yeah, because he was getting ready for a tour. So we actually saw the area where he rehearsed. Like all his gear was set up for a rehearsal. Oh, wow. This would have been like summer '91, whatever tour that was. And he was standing there. I'm like, hey, man, cool studio. I held my hand out to shake it. And he's like, paused for a second. I didn't think he was going in, but then he did. And that was it. Didn't say anything.
Well, you probably towered over him first of all.
Yeah, it was short. He was down. He was talking to a girl too. And then I just left him alone. But I did meet him.
What a musician, though.
Yeah. It was cool to be down there. And I wish we would have done. We would have needed 10,000 to do what we wanted to do at that time, and just we had too many other issues going on there.
Money.
But I stayed in touch with that producer then, with Tim, and we're still good buddies. And then I moved to Arizona, was in an original band down there. Me and Kelly went down there to be an original band.
Oh, sure.
And the last bass player, we took him with us. And then a new drummer. So it was just originals down there. You didn't really see cover bands down there. That gave us an opportunity. Our plan was to play the clubs in Phoenix and then cruise over and do showcases in LA to get a deal. That was still in the cards. Never happened. Band disbanded. Kelly ended up getting married. That took his priority. And we switched singers and things kind of fell apart there. Got fired from my job again and stuff like that.
Musician stuff.
Yeah. Telemarketing. I was just, it was telemarketing. Because back then,
I think every musician has been a telemarketer at one point in their life, if you're this age. I know I did it for like 3 months.
God, I hated you guys. I didn't have a cell phone.
And then I started to grow a conscience where I was like, these old ladies were agreeing to spend money on, I didn't even know what I was selling,
I sold Aladdin book sets for Disney. So, and then another place I sold refrigerator magnets and AAA auto insurance. But the Disney one was funny. I'll have to tell you some stories about that. That'll have to be later.
Yeah.
But back then I tell people that are working in the service industry or at Hornbachers or whatever, the guys with long hair, I'm like, you're lucky because you can do this because I couldn't. So back then in the 90s, long-haired guys had to be a cook or somebody you're not going to see.
Yep.
You'd be a telemarketer. You couldn't do like a regular job where people are going to see you because you wouldn't meet their grooming policy.
Metalheads.
So that whole when I sold Disney book sets, the entire room was music, long-haired band guys. It was a bunch of metalheads.
I love it.
That's perfect.
And then my drummer was there next to me. So that was interesting. But I moved. I'll make this part short. That I moved back here. I moved back here to test for my second-degree black belt.
Oh,
then in '94, because the master I was working with, Rich Johnson, still taught at the sports center, which was over by Skateland. So went over there and trained with him, tested for my second-degree black belt, and then just got back into that. And then because there was a little break there, and then started juggling both. So that was a time when I was doing both. And then actually I ended up taking over for that and then switched that over to Carter's Academy, the name, back to the original, and been doing that ever since. So, and then I stayed here. But my plan when I came back here to get my second degree was to test for my second degree, and then I was moving to LA to get a project going with the help of our producer, with Tim Baba. Because I was talking to him, I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going back to Fargo for a little bit. But what happened was, I got back here in September of '94, and around, and I wanted to test it before Christmas and then bolt and head down to LA. But then he said, hey, you're not going to be ready. You got to learn a set of patterns, and you got to learn. I got to take you through a bunch more stuff. So we're going to have a big test in the spring. So just stick around till spring. And I was like, I'm not ready to stick around that long.
Yep.
So like I had to get a job then. So I went and got a job at the OB, and that's where I met Jen too.
Oh.
Yeah. I was a DJ and a bouncer, and sometimes both, because I would like jump out of the DJ booth to be a bouncer.
What year was that?
94 and 95.
Okay.
So I would have started the end of 94. So then I stuck around here, and then I'm like, then Hat was still here. He just finished school. I'm like, hey, here's the deal. I'm stuck here. Do you want to, and I got all these songs that I want to start an original band, stuff that I've been writing, stuff that was too heavy for my last band. They'd get mad at me, like, that's too heavy for us. I remember him saying that, like, but this is what I'm into, because I was into Pantera, and they were still Skid Row-ish, you know?
Yep.
And I was like, no, I want to be in a heavier band. And I said, do you want to work up these songs with me just so I can, get them going? And then maybe we could even do a show here or something if we found the right guy. So he goes, well, I'm working with a drummer now in this band. So us three got together and started working on these songs that I'd been writing for a long time. Heavy songs that we didn't do in my last band. And then, well, let's gig, let's play. And this goes back to Pat again, the guy who wrote this article. He owned First Avenue downtown in Fargo.
Okay.
So I'm like, hey, man, can we play at your bar? Well, yeah. Like, don't you even want to know what we're doing? I don't care.
Sure.
That was the cool thing about that club, is they would book original bands. Mm-hmm. So that first version, though, we did do a few covers just to cover enough for a set.
Right. Yep. Which you have to do when you're doing originals. It seems like you have to throw a couple of those in there.
Well, we did just to make the time, because I think we had maybe at that point 5 or 6 worked up, and then just to be able to do a set and play. Then we did 4 or 5 covers. I think an STP, Sacred Reich, Alice in Chains, some stuff like. Anyway, that was early on. Mm-hmm. So then, we're getting more into it. We had got a different drummer that could play the stuff that I was writing, and then still talking to Bamba about going down there. And he goes, Carter, are you guys making money up there playing? I'm like, yeah, a little. He goes, you just don't have to be here. If you're up there making money playing, I would stay there. I'll do the legwork down here in LA, and I'll do what I do. I said, I'll save you the pain of coming down here and paying to play, and it's just not worth it. I'll do what you got to do here. So I'm still here after all this time. So the plan to move to LA was just disbanded, and then we stayed in touch with him, and then he's like, let's go do an EP. So then we went to Oregon and Mount Hood. Hood River, Oregon. Yep, that's where we're up on the mountain. This A-frame studio. Recorded that in ADAT. Everything was recorded on tape, no digital, nothing was fixed later. Had to do the takes. It was hard. That was the first time we worked with a producer that had a great resume and knew that what he was doing.
Sure.
So it was stressing Dave out too, because he was just all over him, and it was hard to do what he did. But and then he went, and then we did that. Took us about a month, and then came back here, and then he went to work and started getting us licensing deals. It's like, hey, do you guys want to be on ESPN? Do you want to do this? And I'm like, well, yeah.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah. But the key was that he, for the producer, and I'll give him credit, he knew what we didn't. Because I wanted to change things all the time, and he was like, trust me. I wanted more gain on my guitar. He's like, no, back that up. I'm like, it sounds like, sounds like an acoustic guitar right now. He's like, just trust me.
Typical guitar players always turning up the gain.
Well, he was right though, especially if you're doing the 16th notes and you want to hear that definition, and if we're going to quadruple the tracks, and which we did, then you got that thick tone. He's like, don't worry about what it sounds like right now. Just worry about what I do later with it.
Right.
So I trusted him, and it worked. And then we did another album with him too in the Minneapolis, and and started to do well. And the first one too, back in those days, and this is '98, you'd send your stuff out. So the metal radio, how we got so much airplay is we got the list of all these metal shows. Like Q98 had Meltdown, and every rock radio station had a Meltdown type show. So we would just send our disc to the metal director, they would be, and you'd bypass all the other channels, because if the metal director would listen to it, if you liked it, he'd play it. That's all it was. And I remember calling Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and I followed up, and we'd send him T-shirts and goodies and stuff, and like, hey man, it's Carter from SOP. He's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm calling from Fargo. He's like, dude, I'm playing you right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm like, no way, what song? I'm playing Silent, man, it rocks. So yeah, and then we sent him overseas. We had play in Greece and stuff, and we did. But that was, those days are gone, because now everything's digital. That we're mailing the tangible disc to these people, and those days are gone. You can't.
Now it's Spotify and all of that.
Yeah, it's just different. So we were able to latch onto that last bit of technology that allowed us to do that, and then get airplay run. And I'm still friends with a lot of those DJs, which is kind of cool, because I stayed in touch with them, and we found each other on Facebook then, years after that, and still friends with a lot of those guys.
That was such a good time when 98.7 Q.
Yeah,
it was the best, and you'd have to take your recorder and record. Well, you probably didn't, Abby.
Yeah, I did. I had to wait until like the top 9 at 9.
Top 9 at 9.
So then I'd wait with my fingers on the record and play buttons so I could push both at the same time. So the cassette would record.
Then at the end of the track, it's like thunk.
And then sometimes it didn't record, or if it did, then in the middle of the song, it would have this like thing that would happen. You're like, no!
Walk in your room. It's like, hey, Abby.
I tried to explain that to my son. Back then we didn't tell Alexa what we wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Like you had to wait, and there was this thing on TV called commercials. You had to.
It was a different time.
It was a totally different time.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about that recital at Moorhead State, because I went to those, and I actually think they're ugly guitars. I'm just sorry, BC Rich, but this guy played this BC Rich, and I kind of like to play one of those big old bass guitars, and I kind of got stuck. But my guitar instructor, because I took lessons for a little while, I was probably the worst guitar student ever. But I find it interesting you learned on the blues, because he was a blues player.
Sure.
And when Stevie Ray Vaughan passed, I mean, we had to cancel. He was just so distraught.
Yeah.
But that's one of the first songs I learned was a Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then Back in Black, because it's pretty straightforward. It's a great beginner song. Then Have a Drink on Me. We just went through the album, and to watch him play with his long curly hair, and it was profound. I suck at guitar though.
You do not stop.
That was it was a different time back then. So I'm glad I learned to play guitar when I did too.
But do you think you would have? I mean, you said it tied to the accident. Do you think you would have?
Well, I started hanging out with Cy because of that accident.
Right.
So probably not.
Exactly.
So, my thing was all martial arts. I wanted to be a full contact fighter. Before Ultimate Fighting, there was a PKA where you kicked and punched. I wanted to be a full contact fighter and just do that. And I didn't have a clear direction or I didn't have a real clear plan or what I was going to do.
You're young though.
I was just 18. So it ended up working out. I still thank Cy all the time. We're still best friends.
Good.
And he still plays.
Good.
Still my hero.
Everybody's got to have a hero.
Yeah, but he placed that on my lap. That was the defining moment there.
Pretty nice to have a Fender Stratocaster too.
I have it now. It's on my wall.
That was my first guitar. Was a Fender Strat.
I bought it from him, and then I had him sign it, and I put it on my wall.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
That's
it's on my game room wall.
That's so cool.
So when I got that next to my Kramer with George Lynch's signature on it, we opened for Lynch Mob.
Yep.
Yeah, and I did a project with George too.
Did you?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when we opened for him, we talked backstage and stuff, and we talked about different people we know. And I took lessons from his guitar teacher when I lived in Phoenix. Mark Thompson. So we talked about Mark and what he's doing now and all this. He stays in touch with him. But talked about where our music is and stuff like that. And we were talking about ESPN. He's like, who do you know there? I said, well, I know the main guy, because it's Mark Wilson, because he was just a regular guy when we first did licensing with him, but now he's like the head of the music department.
Wow.
And George is like, he won't even return my calls. Like, you'll talk to me. So then we talked about doing something. He goes, I'd love to do something, if you want to do some licensing. Well, I'm like, yeah, we can. We can do it remotely. So, we did. He sent me stuff, and I went down with Ryan Jackson, and Kelly had brought Kelly in, the singer.
Yep.
So Kelly came down the night before we're going to Ryan's, just the night before. I'm like, here, Kelly, listen to this. We need to come up with something for ESPN. So we spent all night, and he was just, he passed away in 2017. Oh, sure. And I lost so much with that because he was my main collaborator. So he was the perfect guy for that. So when we sat down and listened to George's stuff, and then we started throwing ideas off each other, we were good at that. And like, he'd sing something like, go back and do that again. That was kind of cool. It's like an immigrant song thing. No, I didn't mean that. No, do that again. That works. That works. Just carry that note underneath it. And we came up with something pretty cool, I think. And but ESPN sat on it. They're still sitting on it. But we could do something again sometime, but I've been too busy with other stuff. But he's always up for whatever. George is a good guy.
Interesting story. So I was at this music festival, and Don Dokken played. And guess what band played right after him? George Lynch.
Oh, wow. We went through a period when we talked for a little while before we got to the actual music part, and I was trying to not be a fanboy, but I was dying to say, let's talk about Dokken, man. Yeah. Come on. But I didn't. I wanted to keep that professional stance, But it was fun to do. That was a cool bucket list thing, kind of, to do that. And then Kelly and I, that was our last project, too. And George City loved Kelly's voice, too. And that was kind of cool for him. But Kelly passed away 2017. We had him in our band, Mongo, the Gore-Tex Fry Pipers. We did one show with him, and then he passed away. And then the next show, we had Steve Stein fill in for him, a tribute show for him. But he was the rare writer that I could collaborate with really, really well.
When you mesh well, you just...
neither of us were threatened by the other.
Sure.
So if you said you didn't like that, it was okay. Or let's try this, and then it was fine. And we bounced ideas off each other. And the funny part is when we played in our all-original band in Phoenix, Mastermind, it was pretty much split right down the middle. Our set was half of the songs I wrote, half the songs he wrote. And then later we were talking about it. His favorite songs in that band were the songs I wrote. And my favorite songs in that band were the ones he wrote.
Go figure.
Yeah, so we were talking about going back and recording them. And we talked about doing all the stuff, and then he died. Oh. Yeah, that was tough.
I have to know how you come up with all these cool band names. That seems to be the biggest catalyst around. It's coming up with the cool band names like Mastermind, Sausage.
Sausage is still my favorite.
I have a long list. I bet. I do, because Jen and I will say something funny, and we'll always be like, that'd be a good band name.
Yeah, I know
we do the
that.
same thing.
Do it all the time.
Andy and I do.
Yeah,
I remember that. That's a good band name.
I get a call the other day. Super Dave was driving to Bismarck. He's like, Sterling Wing. Oh, Sterling Wing. That'd be an interesting tribute.
Yeah. And Jen's like, hey, look at this article. North Fargo hatchet attack. I'm like, yes.
Hatchet attack.
North Fargo hatchet attack. I'm like, that's
terrifyingly
a decent
fresh.
band.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I'm not so weird. I'm not the only one that does it. I love it.
Yeah, no, all the time. It's a band name or an album name.
Yeah, band name or album name.
So before we lose too much time, I have to know, because I'm selfish, and I'm going to take it over. How did you get into triathlon? Tell me how that started.
Yeah, so in 2007, I bought the house I'm in now, which has a swimming pool. And that sounds glamorous and all, but I'll show you before pictures. So
I know you built that thing from scratch, basically.
Well, yeah, so the thing on the pool was, It was with an asterisk. It needs to either be filled in with dirt or completely rebuilt. And I'm like, well, I'll rebuild it. How hard can that be? But it turns out pretty hard. But I did. It took a couple of years to do. All I used was the hole in the ground, galvanized steel walls. But the cool thing about building it myself was I know everything about pools now. So whenever something goes wrong, I know what it is, or I know
how to fix it.
So I know all the little things about swimming pools. But then I thought, well, now would be a cool time to do a triathlon because I swim all the time. And then at the end, the first couple of years, like I got to be what I felt was an okay swimmer at the end of the season. But then the tri season was over. So then in 2012, I weighed 200 pounds. I'm like, okay, I'm going to join the Y, and I'll just swim all winter so that when the spring hits, I'm ready. And Jen's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, yeah, it sounds cool. I didn't know anything about them. I had to research what the distances were and all this.
Yep.
And like, I found one in Bismarck, and my sister lived there, so I'm like, let's do that one. I'll do the Olympic one. I'm not going to bother with a sprint.
Why start with the sprint?
That's my thinking at that time. I'm not going to do that. Must just be for people that can't do the Olympic. And so then I started swimming a lot. And I thought I was a pretty good swimmer because I was a lifeguard when I was a senior. And it turns out I wasn't. As soon as I worked with a coach. And I worked with him, and he straightened all this stuff out, all these mechanics that I had bad. But I had to adjust my stroke to my injuries. So I don't have full range of motion in my left arm. So sure. I can't do this with this arm.
Sure.
I can do that. So good enough. This is good enough to function, right?
Yep.
But it's not, you can't get the full roll that you'd get when you really reach. So I told my coach, hey, I can't do that with my left arm, but I can do it with my right. So, he's just like, always breathe left. That's fine. We'll work around that. And then he goes, well, because you're not reaching so far with your left, you're going too far with your right. He's like, you're going way over here, and you're creating this big break. And he laid me on the pool deck, and here's what you're doing and all this. So I jumped back in the water. And this is the funny part, too. People love the story. I'm working out with his middle school girls swim team.
I love that for you.
There was a lane at the end, and it was the most crushing workout ever. And this was at the top of my game for fitness. But it was crushing workout for an hour. It was just go, 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 go. But that try I was preparing for, which was a USAT event in Vegas, was my best swim split. I did 750 and I think 11:28, which included a 100-yard run up to the transition in 59-degree water. So that was all because of that coach working with me. But anyway, so I got ready for that Bismarck try. I didn't know anything. And I tested for my 5th degree black belt that spring, and I broke my toe. And then the try was in 2 weeks from that, and I was signed up for the Olympic. So then I emailed the race director. I'm like, hey, can I bump down to that sprint, that little one? I'm thinking,
yeah.
That's nothing. I'm embarrassed, but I'll do that. Again, I know nothing. He goes, yeah, we can bump you down to that. So went down there, and I didn't know. I'm like, well, where do we change, and how does this work? Well, you don't change. You wear what you wear. I literally knew nothing. I just knew the distances. I didn't know much about it. So, okay, I'm going to wear this then. And I had a wetsuit, so I did that. But I didn't know anything about sighting. I got lost out there. I ended up doing breaststroke a lot. I had never done 500 meters freestyle yet. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't been to that point. But I got through the swim, and I hit the beach, and I was just dead. I was just like, I'm just dying when I got done with that swim. And I think Jen was thinking, you should maybe just quit. But I got my bike went okay. But then I was having a goo gel in there, and I didn't have anything to wash it down with. And her and my brother-in-law were watching me run up the boat ramp with binoculars. Like, he's going down. Yep, he's down.
Oh, no.
I went down. I was on all fours.
Oh, no.
I was dead, and I had that goo gel stuck in my throat.
Oh,
and,
no.
And I didn't know what a brick was, and it was just not good. It was just not good. And I just, okay, I'll walk for a little bit here. And it was just really slow running. It was just terrible, actually. It was just terrible. And then I crossed the finish line, and I was just dying. And like, you know, now that was my rude awakening, you know. And Jen's like, hey, this is great. You finished. Now you never have to do this again.
I haven't met Jen. I like Jen.
Yeah.
Jen and I think alike.
Jen's too good for me. She's pretty awesome. So let's go. You know, let's go home. Let's put this behind you, and you never have to do this again. And but I stuck around for awards. I got third in my division still. So it was a smaller one. So I did, and that was kind of cool. I got a medal, and then I got home, and then a couple of days went by, and they put the results online and stuff. And I'm looking, God, if I knew what a brick was, I could have beat that guy. And I was scared to tell Jen, because she was like, you know, because they suffer with you, right?
They do.
You know,
yeah.
They suffer with you.
Andy's been there. Yep.
And
I
like,
get that.
And I'm, hey, I wouldn't mind doing one more. You're out of your mind. You know, you're crazy. There's one in DL in August. No, you can't. That's crazy. You remember how it went? I'm like, that's why I got to do it. I want to do better. I'm disappointed in myself. You know, she's like, okay, you know, I had to get permission from the chief. But then I knew what I was doing. I knew what I had to work on.
Yep.
So I did bricks like crazy. So from June 15th to, I think, whatever it was, August, that's all I did. All I did was train for those 2 months. And my goal was to get under 110. And I 109.35. I didn't place, though. So I got fourth in my division that year. And then I won it every time since then. But I was happy to get that time. And that's another lesson on what matters for placing. Like, I didn't place, but I was the happiest guy there. Mm-hmm. I was the happiest guy there because because I felt like I did well. I got the best out of me at that time, you know. So then after that, I was at the stage you're at right now, actually, where I'm just all into it. So I just
Who knew?
So then that year, that winter, I just trained like crazy, leading up to that Vegas try and stuff, and then and now I'm hooked on it, and I'm a short distance try.
And telling everyone else, oh, it's no problem. You have no problem. You just go in there. You could do that. You'd be fine.
Well, what I told my students at our challenge was true. I think that the people that I was talking into it were at a fitness level good enough to do it, to cross the finish line. Mm-hmm. And then if you decide to get into it, which you are now, then we can take the next step, and then you can go for it. But you actually did very well in DL. I mean, wow, you did very well.
I only had 2 months to like figure. I mean, thanks to you guys for like, you know, getting me through a lot of the stuff, because I was like, I don't know what transition is, or I was like where you were. I was like, what does that mean? Yeah. Well, then I was wearing my son's bicycle helmet and like pedaling in a crappy bike that I didn't realize, like, there's people on like $5,000 bikes at this thing, you know, and I'm on this like $125 Trek that I got off of some random dude on Facebook.
With a helmet with a alligator tail on.
Yeah, but that
I pedaled like hell though. I was like, I'm gonna, you know, the wind was not great, and I haven't swam since probably 6th grade, you know, freestyle. I'm surprised that I even knew how to freestyle. I didn't even know what freestyle was. I didn't even know how to swim. I was like, well, I've seen videos of people putting their arms over. I'm like, well, I could do that.
Well, and open water is completely different. I
went to Mark Hagen's and like I fell in love with the swimming, which most triathletes probably hate the swim the most, but
I think beginners, they're just scared of it.
Yeah, but being out in that water when the sun was setting out on the lake, and like with the, you know, the wildlife and stuff that was out there, it was like the most calming, peaceful.
Yeah.
I mean, all I could hear was myself breathing like a camel through the water because I was struggling to get like, you know, I think the first swim I did, I felt pretty damn good about it, but I didn't have a fancy watch. I didn't know, like, how far? I was like, oh, well, how far is this? And after I got done, I was feeling pretty accomplished. She goes, oh, that's like 200 meters. I was like,
I offered.
how much do I have to swim? 500?
I offered to help you. I was going to put one of those little shark things on there and start swimming in between people to slow them up and detour them.
But I was pretty proud. I felt pretty good because I wasn't, I wasn't a small person at the time, and I was working on trying to lose weight. I had just started working out like a year before that, but it's humbling. It really is. Like when you read the sprint, like I thought the sprint was long. And now I'm looking at these people, like I'm working towards a 70.3 Ironman, and I'm like, now that's a long ways.
And it's just a different approach, so you hit a different heart rate zone and keep going, and they're tough too. And I haven't done an Ironman. Justin constantly bugs me about it. It's a time thing for me when I have time.
Sure.
I don't have time for 5-hour bike rides on Saturday. So right now, I would like to at some point, but for right now...
how about 2027, Carter? You can come and do one with me.
Possibly. I have so many irons in the fire, it's tough. And I have my piece of pie for all the things I do,
of course,
for family and work and home projects and
sure,
and all that. So I got to be willing to give up some of that pie piece, you know what I mean? And right now it's hard with all the things I got going on. But that health pie piece I can still do a sprint. So like the DL, I worked out for a week, and did it. So I'm at a fitness level where I can jump in and do that anytime.
Yep.
Where you can't do that with the long distance stuff, and you have to be training for many, many months leading up to that. And I would love to. I would. And I love all the guys that have done that and all the people that have done that, and it would be a huge accomplishment. I just got to find the time.
It is a very large time commitment, as my husband is finding out. Like, I try, on certain weeks to be like, okay, well, I get up at 4:20 in the morning, so I do my training before I go to work.
Sure.
And so I get that part out of the way, but then I have to do my second workout sometimes when I get home.
Right.
It's like 6:00 and.
No, you have to be clever with your time, And again, going back to the all-in thing, if I do that, I want to be all in. Mm-hmm. And put my time forth. I might do the marathon in the spring, but that's different than full Ironman.
It's really interesting you bring up the crew, because I had the opportunity to be a crew member, and I didn't know anything about this, and this was a 100-mile ultra marathon.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are all insane, first of all. But what I learned from that is you're going from point to point. You got to make sure everything is there.
Yeah.
And it was such an enlightening and inspiring process for me, because you sleep for about an hour in 2 days, and when you see that athlete come across that finish line and put their hands in the air, it's like, man, you get a little teary-eyed. I'm not gonna lie.
Right, yeah.
You can do hard things.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
100 miles through trails and 2 states.
That's crazy.
It was amazing.
So I've always been a faster, not farther guy.
Sure. Yeah, the sprint works for that. Yep.
Well, and then that was the thing too when I did the sprint in DL. Then it felt like instead of jumping to Olympic, let's get better at this.
Sure.
And that ended up being a great thing, because I can do all my training in an hour on a Saturday versus the other.
I hated you so much that first brick that I did.
Good.
Oh, I was mad. I was like, what did I sign up for? I had never heard of a brick. And so if people that don't do this sort of thing, a brick is you do your long bike ride, and then you do your run right after, and your legs legit feel like bricks when you start to run. First of all, I could barely run to the end of the damn block at that time, let alone, a mile or whatever. And I learned this later, that I'm not supposed to do the full amount, but I wanted to see if I could actually do a 12-mile bike ride and a 3-mile run before the sprint.
Sure.
Before the actual race. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do that to make sure that I can, so I don't embarrass myself, because I didn't want to DNF. Like, that's just not in my veins. I don't do that. I would rather die than DNF. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And it was like 95 degrees out. I picked the worst day ever to do this, but I was like, I had the time and I was off work, and I'm like, I would do this. So I filmed it, and I was like swearing, like, I hate you,
That's
Carter.
funny.
This is the worst day of my life. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? And when I got done, and as I was dying on my carpet in the living room, I was like, wow, I did that. Like, and it was addicting. Like, it felt good. And then I was like, okay, maybe there's a method to his madness, to push you a little bit.
I didn't know what a brick was. I learned something. I thought a brick was like the porta potty. Like, I would have to stop there because I'm like, either it's coming out one way or the other.
There's a lot of things with try, and you can overdo it too. Sometimes you can get too much information, but you'll find what works well for you. There's a lot of training things I don't do, and there's things that people say I should do and I don't. But you'll find what you like and what works for you.
The structure. I think I like structure. I like to know, like, my brain can't compete with what is supposed to happen the next day. Like, if somebody doesn't tell me, like, you're running tomorrow, then I will negotiate with my brain.
Sure.
Like, well, I don't really like to run. Maybe I'll bike. So then it makes me do the hard things that I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel like doing that. Or running. I used to see people, when I would wake up in the morning, like when Andy and I used to drink and stuff on a Saturday morning, and I'd look out the window, I'm like, who are these people? It's like 20 below. They're out running, out on the street. And here I'm one of those crazy people
Welcome
now.
to the club there. You're in it.
Never thought I'd be that person, but I hate treadmills that much that I would.
No, I'm very proud of you. You're doing well.
I'm trying.
And the thing is, you fall in love with the fitness level you get at, and that was the thing for me. Like, I didn't know where I would arrive. When I started at 200 pounds, and I got down to like 175, which I thought was ideal weight for me at 6 feet tall. But I kept training, and I kept increasing in strength, and I was getting faster. So then it was like 170, and then 165, and Jen was like, yeah, you better stop this. You don't get too skinny.
Right.
I'm like, well, I'll make an effort to eat a lot more if I start losing strength, but
Right.
But then I bottomed out at 150, and which is where I'm at now, which seems too skinny, and it did at the time too. And everybody was asking me if I was sick.
Yeah.
But I increased strength during that.
Yep.
So, and flexibility and everything else, and just felt way better. And I before that I would be uncomfortable, like tying my shoes because my gut would get in the way, and clipping my toenails, it'd be like your gut getting in the way,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden that didn't happen anymore.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, so I just stay at this weight now, which again seems too skinny at 6 feet tall, but it works for me.
I think what I found the best part to be was on that finish line. My brother's girlfriend actually took the video when I crossed the finish line, like my son.
Oh, right.
And
Yep.
him looking at me like, wow, that's pretty cool,
Yep.
And then he immediately after that was like, I want to do that. And he did one. And he swore at me the whole time, like I swore at you like in that video. But he did it.
That's awesome.
And I think that, people think you're crazy until you just have to have that mindset of, I'm going to do that. And you just do it. Some people don't understand that, but like there are people out there that get it. And I love that about you because I think I do that. And I told you, I fought you for 2 months that I said, no, I'm not doing that.
I remember.
Because I was like, if I do this, I'm all in this. This is not a small thing. Like this is going to be my life for a long time. And then when I finally, the phone spoke to me and the Young Life Triathlon came up and I was like, well, crap, now I have to do this because it's here. And I just.
Well, and I knew you would take advantage of the community.
Yep.
It's a cool group of people.
It is.
And I knew that you would take advantage of that.
And I love to surround myself with people that challenge me because I love the challenge of that. And I like to pick their brains and figure out okay, so how do I do that? What's that? What are you doing? I'm that annoying,
Yeah. That's
tell
great.
me how that
That's
tell
how
me
you
how that
learn.
goes.
That's how you learn.
And so I should, instead of swearing at you, I should thank you for getting me into all of this.
Yeah, maybe you should get a hat. Carter was right about everything.
Maybe at one of my races I'll have to wear that. Carter was right.
It doesn't happen very much, but it was in that case.
But, you didn't just inspire me. You inspire my son in the martial arts, with Carter's Academy and, hundreds of other kids and adults that take your class, every single day, we're thankful. You went through an ordeal so you could be the person that you are today to inspire.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Everyone else around you. So
thank you.
we thank you for that.
I think that's the epitome of taking trauma to triumph.
Absolutely.
And taking what happens and rebuilding.
Right.
Not only your body, but your mind.
Right.
That's exactly what you've done. And now you share it. I don't think there's a better gift. You're investing in fellow human beings. There's nothing better to invest in.
Well, and it goes back to if I had anything to change, maybe I wouldn't.
Maybe you wouldn't.
Do you guys ever see the movie Mr. Destiny with
Yeah.
Jim Belushi?
Yeah.
That's what that was about.
Yeah.
Like if he would have just hit that ball in Pee Wee at the championship, his life would be different. So then he got a chance to look, and it was like way worse.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't know. I mean, you don't know.
You don't know. I mean, life is funny that way, and you got to roll with the changes. And we talked about that a little bit.
Yep.
And I during my recovery process, I remember, they told me all these things I couldn't do anymore. You can't be out in the sun anymore, they said. And I was a lifeguard, and then at that point, my summer from May to September was me with a pair of shorts and the shoes. That's it. Now you can't do that anymore. So there was a period where I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, and all these other issues I was having. But it changed for me when I focused on the things I still could do, which was still a lot. Mm-hmm. That goes back to the try too. Well, I can't really swim correctly, but I can.
You can still.
I can get through it, and actually, my swim times have been pretty good. So I'll get by. Yeah. It means I wear full length compressions.
Right.
To protect from the sun. So I get hot. So that's another issue I'll have to figure out for if I do longer stuff.
Right.
And like when I did the marathon, I just had to have people pour water on me all the time because I only have pores on 30% of me.
Oh, sure. So
I overheat really fast. So I just got to keep pouring water on me just to cool down.
Well, I'll be there with you, but I'm only doing the half. I'm not committing to a full yet.
But you might. But yeah, but that was an adjustment then. So I do something a little bit different. That's okay.
Okay, so every podcast we always ask a particular question.
Don't get nervous. It's not bad.
Don't get nervous.
Well, I may not answer it.
I bet you will because I think you already have.
If you could give anybody any particular piece of advice, what would it be?
Just in general?
In general, if they're struggling and they're trying to overcome something and they're listening to this and they're listening to your story, what piece of advice would you have for them?
Well, you're right. I go back to what I just said, where focus on what you can do and not what you can't. They gave me that long list of can'ts. You can't do this, you can't do that, and really just sending you off with a bummer.
Yeah.
But I would say, focus on what you can do, and we talk about this all the time in martial arts training. So I'll have, and you've seen class. So class is from some pretty elite athletes in there to people that are overcoming many different things. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong there. So I'll have people that are coming in that are overweight, or they have, or they're older and you just don't have the same physical skills. And that's okay. We'll get the best out of you and we'll do what you can. And you see across the board and everybody's supportive of each other, which is cool. So I like to create an environment where we're kind of a family there, right? And we're all trying to help each other. And I think I have that environment because everybody in there is pretty cool. But that's the biggest thing I get more than anything when people inquire about taking lessons in martial arts. Well, I'm just not that fit, or I have this issue or that. I'm like, well, that's okay. We'll work around that. And I do. I work around my stuff. There's a bunch of stuff I can't do.
Oh, absolutely.
But I can do some stuff. So what you can do, let's do well. And that works for a lot of people. Then they do something that they didn't know they could do. And we have students like that in there now that, hey, actually, this is pretty fun. I'm actually finding out I can do some pretty cool stuff. I'm capable of doing a lot of awesome things still, even though I have this limitation and that limitation.
The body is an amazing structure. I went to a doctor a while ago that actually was last year and had done, stuff on my knees. And he's like, oh, well, you're over 40, so you've got some arthritis in there. He's like, I think your squatting days are over, and running and squatting. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to take that advice. Now, granted, it was from somebody that didn't take fitness very seriously for being a person who's supposed to be recommending what someone should or shouldn't be doing. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to listen to that.
Yeah, well, you'll find in the tri community, one thing that's really cool is there's a remedy for almost everything. Mm-hmm. Like here, this part of my knee hurts. Well, do this, and you can strengthening, stretching, and rolling can fix a lot of things.
Yes, it can. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not in tri, do the things. But I think that's a great piece of advice, Carter, for everybody. Just focus on the positive things, the things
what
you can do.
Because chances are the list of things you can do versus what you can't do is a lot longer, It's
a great way to look at it.
Yeah, and that's what did the trick for me. It took me out of a period of depression, because I was there with all the stuff I can't do. Mm-hmm. They send you home, but you can't do any of the fun things you used to do. But I found that, and I found guitar. And now try. But I continue to try to grow and learn new things, and I pick up new things from people all the time. Students, kids. I learn stuff from kids all the time. I
believe it.
And I'll have kids teach other kids, and I'll watch what they do, and they'll find a little cool way of teaching something. I'm like, hey, I'm going to steal that. Mm-hmm. I love that.
We can always learn. Every day is a learning.
That's why I don't give a blanket way of how to teach. Because sometimes you might have your own little way of explaining something to somebody, because everybody's different. You'll have a little block of something. Well, I can't figure this out. And some very young kids will say, well, hey, we'll just do this. Hey, that worked. And then it worked. So I'll learn stuff from kids all the time. I'll tell them I'm stealing it.
Good, you should. It's free. It's free advice.
It's not illegal if you call it out.
No, exactly.
No, it's not. And I do stuff like that all the time. Hat will tell you this too. Like when I'll write a song and I'll show him a little run, and then he'll do it wrong. And I'm like, but that was cooler. No, I want to learn how you, no, let's do it that way. And then we'll fight about which way, and he'll fight with me because he wants to do it the way that I wrote it, but I'll like his mess up better.
Happy accident. Well, Carter, this has been amazing. Thank you for taking time out of your crazy busy schedule to come here and talk with us. And I will post all of his links to all of the cool things that he does on our Facebook.
It's a long list. It's a long list. And you know what? I said it earlier. I grew up watching you play.
Oh, cool.
I know. And it's so cool. Now I'm sitting. It's so weird how things come full circle. So Carter Evenson, Odyssey extraordinaire, exhibition driver, musician, 7th degree.
Yeah.
Black belt.
Yep, I got my 7th degree last October.
Abby has so many people coming here that could whoop my ass if need be. Whether it be Mariah Prusha.
I surround myself with them now.
Oh my God, well, that's good. That's good, but I think it comes down to structure. So I'm inspired, and it's been so awesome. What a story. What a great night.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. I hope I didn't bore you too much.
No, not at all.
I have a way of going off on something else, and going too far into something. So
it's all connected.
Just have to stop me.
No. I'll let Abby do that.
Oh, we're good.
All right. Oh, well, next week we got something cooking, don't we?
We do.
I'm excited. And the week after.
Who do you got next week?
And the week after.
I want to know.
Well, we have Mandy next week. She is going to be talking to us about heart conditions, and she's been through an ordeal with her twins. She has a heart condition, and she's looking to bring more awareness to it.
Oh, wow.
I think it's great. And then after that, we're going to do a couple anonymous ones, just because their story is more important than their name. And it's someone who has overcome very severe addiction and is thriving. And the following week, we're going to talk to his dad about what his dad lived through and how he helped and some of the perspective of him. So I think that's very helpful to people. And
Both sides of it.
both sides of it. Both
Yeah,
sides
no
of it.
question. No question.
I love victories, and I love watching them both thrive now, and it warms my heart. So I'm looking forward to it. A little nervous, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
with you.
great.
Little
I
nervous.
will listen to these. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll spread the word.
All right.
Until then, everybody, thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Kiss My Chaos podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we speak with some of the most intriguing people about their journey from trauma to triumph. If you find yourself in mental crisis, please seek professional medical help immediately.